Hello and welcome to part 5 of the Jeep tutorial set. This is David Ward, and when last I left you we had filled in the bed area as well as where the floorboard and everything and the firewall is going to go, and added in the inside of the fender well there. So now we're going to go ahead and get in and start working on the windshield. So let's go to our front view, go to our orthographic, and go ahead and turn on our blueprints again. And again, like I did on the inside of the bed area, I'm going to go ahead and just come into edit mode, Shift A, we're going to add just a plane. Go ahead and drag that up, and you can see the two dots right there. That's where it's, since we added that in mirror mode, it's kind of overlapping each other, so we need to drag it until those 2 points meet in the middle, and then they're kind of glued together. Then we can kind of move it around. Okay, so back to our front view. Let's rotate that 90 degrees on the x-axis, so we get it nice and in front of us there. Drag that down, and so we can start positioning it. There we go. And let's go ahead and drag that out to about right there. Then we'll grab the edge there, drag it down until it gets about the bottom of the window. And let's go ahead and add a loop there. Okay, and then maybe a loop right in here. A little bit smaller area there. Go ahead and grab our edge select. And actually, before I do that, I'll go ahead and grab both the outer window frame and the middle window frame. Go and extrude that up all the way till we get to the top. Now I know we can see some rounded weirdness on the mesh down in here, but we'll fix that later. Don't worry about that just yet. We're going to extrude this up one more time all the way to the top of the window. Then we'll just grab these two faces here, or those two edges there, and just hit the F button to lock those in. So now, go ahead and fix that rounded part I was talking about there. Go ahead and add some extra loops there on the corners. So, and one in here. Then we'll go ahead and add one at the top to get that nice and straight. One there, and why not one there, and why not one there. Okay, so now we have our windshield, but it's in the completely wrong place. Let's go to our side view, tab back into edit mode, and Control L, select all of those new pieces of geometry that we made. And we'll just drag those up until they get to the front. Now this will have a little bit of an angle, as you can see here, unlike the dashboard. So we'll go ahead and rotate that back. Go ahead and drag it into place. Maybe a little bit more. Not too much. There we go. And now we have a nice windshield on our Jeep. Now, one thing you can see on these old Jeeps was that the windshields could be folded down. I think they can still be folded down on modern Jeeps, but you don't really see it that often because it's probably too dangerous. But see these little clamps right there? That means you can pop those off and they'll rotate. Like if I go ahead and say windshield, you can see they can be rotated down. That's what the little angle's right here for. So we can go ahead and add those on there. Let's go ahead and get a little bit better view of that. That one looks pretty good. See, it's basically a pipe coming across there. So we kind of squared it off, but that'll be fine. We'll just go ahead and move that back, and then we can probably see in our side view. Yeah, you can see where that angle comes down along the side of the body and bolts on right there on the hinge area. So let's go to our side view again, and let's go ahead and put our 3D, let's tab out of edit mode because we're going to add some new geometry now. So we're going to put our 3D cursor right there on the corner of that window. Let's go to our our side view and put that 3D cursor there. So we have that 3D cursor right there on the bottom edge of that window. We could also do this, just go into edit mode and select, some of those vertices there on the corner and go Shift S, cursor to selected, and it'll put it right there. The only problem is, since we have that solidify turned on, it puts it on the original point of mesh, which, speaking of, it probably looks like it's the normals might be facing the wrong way on that windshield. So let's select in here and come up and look here. No, yeah, they're probably the wrong way. So let's go Control N. Actually, just select just the windshield, Control N. There we go. Okay. So now our actual window is coming the right direction to the inside, which you can see the solidify has a offset of -1, so that means it goes towards the inside rather than the outside. So that's what we want. Okay, So we got our windshield situated. Let's go ahead and put our 3D cursor right there now. Make sure it's still in the front view. No, right there. There we go. So now, out of edit mode, so we're going to create a new piece of mesh. Actually, it's not even going to be a mesh. It's going to be a curve. We're going to say Bezier curve. Bezier curve. It's French. So we'll go ahead and go to our curve settings here and add a little bit of bevel to it. That adds thickness to it so you can actually see it. And then also the fill, we need to change that to be full. So it's a full, like a noodle in there. So get that done and go ahead and give it a little bit more resolution, because right now it only has 4 sides. It's basically a long tube, a long square tube. So we need to give it some more resolution, and the more we add, the rounder it gets, as you can see. But it looks a little bit too big around, so let's go ahead and bump that depth down a little bit, about maybe like so. Now we'll tab into edit mode, go to our side view, and let's go to wireframe view, hit the Z button, so we can select everything. We just have 2 points on this Bezier curve. And they have the little handlebars there. If you ever messed with like vector graphics in Photoshop or Flash or something like that, you will be familiar with the handlebars and how they control edges and things like that. So let's just pop that up there until it meets where it needs to go. And then this point we want it on the edge of that window. So I'm going to go ahead and Shift S and say selection to cursor. So it's just like the cursor to selection that we did on the bottom corner vertices, but it's basically the opposite. We're instead of snapping the center of the 3D cursor to the vertices, we're snapping the selection, which would be the vertices in that case, to the 3D cursor, if that makes sense. We'll just scale that down and rotate that, grab that handlebar until it's the right direction. Let's go to our top view now, and we see it's really offset this way. Go ahead and turn on our top blueprint. Go ahead and grab this point, and we're just going to drag it straight across on the x-axis there. Go ahead and rotate that, about like so. And then probably need to go ahead and grab this one. Go to our front view. Can we see that on our front view? Yeah, a little bit. Just drag that out. Looks like that dark line there. So, about like so. Okay, so that's not too bad. So now what I'm going to do is, tell you what, let's go ahead and bump that resolution down. Not all the way down to the 4, although that might be... You know what, let's wait till we get that solidify done so we can attach that, which, you know, at this point we probably could apply at least the mirror part, and we could probably apply the thickness as well. Tell you what, let's apply the, where are we going here? Just like the Jeep. Grab the modifiers here. Let's go ahead and apply that solidify. Go and apply that. And now we'll bump the subsurf up above the mirror. No, we don't need to do that. We need to come back down. Now, I saw that there, and I was thinking that we need to change the order here. But the reason that's there is because when we applied that solidify without applying the mirror, it went ahead and added a face there. If we go to our face select mode, you can see there's a face there where those edges met on that solidify modifier. So let's come to our top view. Turn off our normals there, and let's select all the way down the center there, just barely selecting, just so we get only those vertices that are in the center, like that. So we can come in here and zoom a little closer and deselect. So I just hit the B button to bring up my crosshair selection, and I hold down Alt to deselect what I don't want. So B, Alt, click and drag, and we're deselecting these edges here. And since the mirror is still turned on, we only have to do half of it. So that'll be handy. So let's go ahead and deselect those. So now the only thing that should be on there should be that center row that the solidify created. Now if we would have applied the mirror modifier first, it wouldn't have done that. So, you know, I left it on there because when I add the seats in there, I just want to go ahead and add those in as part of the base mesh too. Don't have to do that. You could make those separately, but that's just what I decided to do at this point. So let's go ahead and just delete those faces now. Tab back out. You can see that that odd-looking piece there disappeared. Okay, so now that we had the solidify, the actual depth of the mesh added, we can go ahead and turn this joint here, that's going to be the actual hinge for the windshield, we can turn that into a object to convert to. If I scroll all the way up here, there, convert to mesh from curve. That's what I'm doing. So I convert that. Now if we tab into edit mode, you can see now it has mesh data rather than the the Bezier handles and curves like that. So now what I can do is hold down that, shift select, actually grab that, shift select the Jeep, and Control J. I'm going to join that to it. So now you can see it's part of this mirrored mesh, and now it's on both sides. So that's good to go. Tab into edit mode, and let's go ahead and attach this guy to the corner of the windshield. We're going to weld it on there. We're going to put on our welding goggles and go to work. So grab the correct vertices there. Drag those up just so we get in a little bit of extra space. And what I want to do realistically, or best practice here, select all those edges there so we can see how many we got. We have 10. So I want to grab 10 edges on here just so we can get an even addition there. So what I just did when I was rotating, it was kind of going off screen. I did the same thing that when I zoomed in to that floor panel earlier. Just hit the period button on your numpad, and it centers and zooms on what you have selected. Okay, so if I want 10 edges, I can select 1, 2, and if I just cut off this corner and this one, and come back here and this one, we would only have 6. So if we go ahead and deselect those bottom 2 and maybe select these guys here, how many does that give us? That gives us 9. It's an odd number there. Do we add? Okay, I still have that one selected. There we go. So that gives us 8. Still not quite enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add another loop right here. Then grab these guys, drag those up, and I guess drag these up as well. Although, since we have that rotated at an angle, it's not going to be a nice round drag up, so I'm just going to grab those. Let's go to our side view, and we can drag those up a little bit better. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut this corner off. Instead of welding, I'm going to get my blowtorch and do some cutting. Go ahead and grab that, and go ahead and delete those faces, just the faces. And if I counted correctly, we should have 10 vertices around here. Yes. So now if we extrude that down towards that round edge there, we can get a nice merge there. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and grab the vertex there on the curve, shift select one of those, one of the edges on the corner of the window, Alt M. We're going to merge that at the center, and kind of just go around here and just kind of weld this round piece onto the corner of the square piece. Okay, oops. I missed a part there. There we go. And almost there, one more. There we go, at the center. Okay. Now you might be seeing all of these purple lines and wondering what those are. Those are from when we applied that solidify and we changed the sharpness of the edges and everything. So what that did is it made those have, well, sharp edges, and that's what the pink lines mean. Like if we select everything, if you've used the Control E and marked edge, mark seams, there's also an option here to mark sharp. And so if you do that, mark sharp, you can see right now it has blue lines, but if we were to, well, it's going to say if we moved it, you would change the color, but let's go ahead and clear the sharp there. And actually, that's okay. That's let's see. It's a way to sharpen the edges, but I can't remember exactly what those are called. Let me see here. Tell you what, that's bugging me. I'm going to find out what that's called, and I'll be right back. Okay, I realized what it was called. It's called edge crease. Now, the way to change that is if you hit E to extrude, if you hit Shift E, you change the edge crease. So if I click, or if I hit Shift E and then move my mouse, you can see all of the edges that are selected, the whole shebang, they're all turning that purple color. But since I have them all selected, if I go back the other way, they all disappear. If I come out to about right there, then we can tab out, deselect everything. And you see there's still a little bit of purple edge, but they're not nearly as strong as they were. Go ahead and select that, Shift E, and there we go. Okay, so what that does is basically it's a way to add sharper edges without having to add extra loops near the edge. You can use it if you like, but I prefer to actually add the extra loops. That way I can actually see what it is that's adding. Oh, that's the wrong side. I was trying to add an extra edge loop back here, so I can actually see what it is that's making a straight edge. So let's go ahead and fix this now. Actually, let's add the loop there so I can round this corner off. And maybe just little nitpicky stuff. There we go. Okay. Where was I? Adding that joint right there. So let's go to our reference again. Take a peek at what that looks like a little up close. A little more. Where was that one? That'll work, I guess. This is where it's folded down, and looks like it's just basically comes out and flattens out and then has a bolt through it, so that's easy enough. So let's just do that. Let's go to our side view, go to wireframe so we can see that blueprint through there, and let's select this edge right here, the whole loop there, scale that on the Z-axis there, and maybe drag it back a little. I'm going to extrude that out towards the front, maybe perfectly on the Y-axis. And let's go ahead and rotate that out, or actually just go ahead and flatten it on the Y-axis so it's nice and flat there. We'll go ahead and select this loop, do the same thing. And we'll go ahead and extrude one more time. Scale that down. And now we're going to go ahead and close that off. So let's grab this edge, not the face, the edge. Let's go back to our solid view so I can see what I'm doing a little better. Select these two opposite edges there, and those two there, and those two there, and these two here, and we're good to go. Pardon me. Let's add one more loop right here. Go ahead and start flattening that out, maybe drag it a little bit closer to the body. And let's go to our top view, and let's go ahead and add that, get that actually added to the body because our vertex select be a little easier. And let's turn on our proportional editing. So set that to connected. So I'm going to move that whole piece. Maybe that's a little too much. Let's undo that. And let's just hit the G button. Then I can hit the scroll on my mouse wheel to change the fall off, so I can fix that a little better. And maybe grab this loop here and drag that in. Okay. So let's go ahead and modify the windshield just a bit more, just so it fits that top of that slightly curved hood there, like so. And there we go. So now if you wanted to, later on, once you get the whole model built, add a what's called a shape key, and that's basically a way to leave the geometry without having to add a rig to it at all. It doesn't really animate well, but it helps you put things, to change their rotation on the mesh, if that makes sense. So I'm going to put my 3D cursor right where that joint would go, where the bolt would go. And since I have part of the windshield selected already, I'm going to go Control L, select the rest of it, hit my period button on the numpad. And before I do anything else, I'll go ahead and tab out and add a shape key. The first one you add is just the base. This is the base shape that Blender's going to look at when it's blending between the different keys. So we'll go ahead and hit that. And we're going to get rid of this after I show you how it works, but I just want to show you how it works real quick. So we'll just call it windshield down. Okay. Tab into edit mode, and we'll go ahead and rotate this. Since we're rotating on the 3D cursor, it's rotating right there where that joint would go. Go ahead and rotate that all the way down until it would meet on the top of the hood. We'll tab out. You can see it doesn't do anything, but if we see, this is why it doesn't work well for animating, because it basically goes the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. It basically takes it from this pose and goes directly to this pose. It doesn't actually rotate it. It just kind of translates all those vertices that we moved to that new position there. But you can kind of see what it would look like. So anyways, let's go ahead and get rid of that because it doesn't really work the way we want it to. And we'll go ahead and get rid of that base for now. Okay, so we got the windshield. And it's 20 minutes in again. But you know what? I'm going to go ahead and keep on trucking. Let's do real quick. I was going to work on the seats, but I think let's just go ahead and add a quick frame just so we can have a place to add the tires and the bumpers to. So I'm going to go ahead and grab our mesh, tab back in edit mode, put my 3D cursor over here, and this time I'm going to go ahead and add a cube instead of a plane. So we're going to scale this down until it gets about where the frame would be. Let's go to our side view, and you can see it a little bit better if we drag it down about right there. This is where the wheels and everything are going to attach. I'm going to scale that down, and still rotating around the 3D cursor. Don't want that. Control comma. Fix that and go ahead and scale this down a little bit. Just a bit more, about like so. Scale it on the y-axis now. And it's going to look kind of diamond shaped until we get it situated the way we want. I'm going to deselect these front ones, drag these all the way to the back, and then I'll go ahead and select these front ones again, drag these all the way up. And I'm going to add a couple of loops in here. One right there below the firewall. Then we'll go ahead and add another one up here. Then one right in here. And this one's going to have a slight curve to it. It's where the wheels are going to attach. So we'll just add that in there. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just give it a nice looking type of thing. We'll do the same thing on the back. Add one right there below where the back of the seats would go. Maybe one here. And you can see this one, the bumper is up a little higher than in the front. So we'll just go ahead and select the rear area there as well. Go ahead and just raise that all the way up till it meets where that bumper is going to come out. So go ahead and grab, zoom in there far enough, go ahead and grab these two faces here, drag them out a little further, and we'll do like we did on everything else, just add a loop to square things off. Okay, and then maybe one right, can't see it because the middle of it's way over here, so we'll just add that there like so. Add another one up here, then another one at the very front where the bumper will be. Maybe grab those, drag them back just a bit. And then maybe another, oops, wrong place. Another loop there, maybe another one up here. Okay, now let's go to our front view, make sure those are lined up. Let's go to our wireframe view, and that's actually not bad. Okay, so now we need to go ahead, it looks like a pipe now. It's nice and flat on the ends, but we need to go ahead and square it off around the top and bottom as well. So we'll go like so. Okay. So now if we go to our front view, you can see it's looking a little more solid still. Alright, so that's going to be it for part 5. I really didn't get as far in here as I'd like to have, but in part 6 we'll finish off the bumpers and then maybe go ahead and get in and do the seats. Hopefully I won't have a lot more tangents to go on like we did with that with the windshield. So, again, thanks for watching. I'll see you in part 6.